I need you guys on your front cover sheet right here. What's up? Go see if there's one in the pink bin. What's that? See if somebody. Austin, can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay. All right, let's take a look at 5-2, you guys. Landon, you ready? Landon, ready? So 5-2 says, I can classify angles. I can solve for unknown angle measures. So go ahead and shade in to see it. And let's flip to our 5-2 notes. And I want you guys to flip right here in your 5-2 notes. Go ahead and decode that first vocabulary word, parallel lines. So our first vocabulary word today is parallel lines. Parallel lines are lines that never intersect. Lines that never intersect. So if we have two parallel lines, those are two lines, or it could be more than two, lines that never intersect. So there, I just drew two parallel lines. Those lines are going to keep going on forever and ever. They're never going to cross. They're never going to intersect. Now, you know how I remember parallel lines? Look at the L's in the word parallel. See how there are two L's? Those two L's are parallel. So the word parallel actually has an example, two parallel L's. All right. The last thing I want to talk about here, this symbol right here, if you ever see this symbol, like that slanted equal sign, that stands for parallel. So if I ever write two slanted lines like this, that stands for parallel. So go ahead and write that down. Now go ahead and decode the word perpendicular for me. Perpendicular is that word. Perpendicular. Perpendicular lines. Perpendicular. And we're actually going to practice saying that word as well. So our second word for today is perpendicular lines. What's the word? Good, Landon. Perpendicular lines. Perpendicular. Perpendicular. You can do it. Good. Excellent. So, perpendicular lines are lines that intersect. Good. They always intersect. They intersect at, that's an at symbol, by the way, 90 degrees. So perpendicular lines are two lines that intersect at 90 degrees. So I'm going to draw two lines that intersect. So those are my two intersecting lines. And then, do you guys know what symbol I use to signify 90 degrees? That little square, that box in the corner. So I'm going to go ahead and put that box in that corner right there. And putting that box in the corner tells me that's a 90 degree angle. Now, technically, if this is a 90 degree angle, this is also a 90 degree angle. And this is also a 90 degree angle. And this is also a 90-degree angle. So really, two perpendicular lines creates 4 90-degree angles. Any questions on that one? All right, last word is transversal. Go ahead and decode that one for me. Transversal. And we're going to practice saying that one as well. So our last word for today is transversal. What's the word? Transversal. All right, so a transversal is a line that intersects, a line that intersects parallel lines. A line that intersects parallel lines. So I want you in your example box, go ahead and draw 2 parallel lines for me. So there are 2 parallel lines. You guys agree that those are parallel? Okay. And a transversal is a line that intersects parallel lines. So go ahead and draw a line that intersects those. And you just created your first transversal. This right here is the transversal. It's intersecting those 2 parallel lines, so we call that a transversal. Questions so far? All right, let's go to our example for today. There are a lot of lines, yep. And in order to do this, I've got to pass out some protractors. So we are going to be using this protractor that I just handed out to you guys to help measure these angles. Please don't play with it. Please don't break it. Please don't bend it. I have to use these with all my grade levels, so they need to stay nice. So on your protractor somewhere, you should be able to find the center. Now my center has a circle. Yours might be slightly different. But what you want to do is put that circle right where these lines intersect. And then the other thing, actually, before you even do that, do me a favor and line the bottom of your protractor up with this line right here. And go ahead and extend it. We're going to need that. We need that to get bigger. So make that line bigger. So just make that line bigger right now. And then once you make it bigger, the other thing I want you to notice, you see how on your protractor I've got this black line right here? Do you guys see that black line? That black line needs to lie flat with this black line right here. So I'm going to line it up like this. I'm lining the center up on that intersection. And then I'm making sure that that black line right there is flat with my other black line. It's got to be. Did you guys get that lined up okay? Now, I want to measure angle 1. So angle 1, you guys see how angle 1 starts right here? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150. You see how that line intersects right here at about 150 degrees? So we would say that angle 1 is 150 degrees. What type of angle is 150 degrees? Obtuse. Very good. That's an obtuse angle. So that's obtuse. Now let's put our protractor back there. And this time, I want to measure angle 4. So do you see how angle 4 starts over here on the left, actually? So I'm going to go over here to the left. And for angle 4, I'm going to start at 0. And I'm going to count 10, 20. Where does that end up at? 30. So angle 4 is a 30-degree angle. Without using the protractor, can anybody tell me how big angle 2 is? 30, good. Because those are vertical angles. And without using a protractor, can anyone tell me how big angle 3 is? Go ahead. Not 30. That's 30. What are these two? 150. Yeah. 150 degrees. Good. Now we want to do the same thing down here with these angles. So I'm going to take my protractor and I'm going to put the center on that intersection and I'm measuring angle 5. So angle 5 is over here on the right. So I'm going to go all the way over to the right and I'm going to start counting 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140. Where does that end up at? 150. So that's 150 degrees. What do you think angle 8 is going to be? 30. Very good. It's also 30 degrees. So how big is angle 7? How big is angle 7? 150. Good. And how big is angle 6? 30. Yeah, 30 degrees. Very good. So, the directions told us to measure the angles formed by the transversal and the parallel lines, which angles appear to be congruent. So, now we want to talk about our congruent angles. What does the word congruent mean again? What does congruent mean? Good, you're looking back at the vocab. Good, they're angles that are the same size. Very good. So if I tell you we have congruent angles, that means that they're the same size. So what angle is the same size as angle 1? Angle 3. So we would say angle 1 is congruent to, that's my congruent symbol, angle 3. What other angles are also 150 degrees? What other ones are 150? 5 and 7. So then we're going to say is congruent to angle 5, which is congruent to angle 7. So those angles, those 4 angles are all congruent or equal to each other. Now we got to do the same thing with our 30-degree angle. So let's start with angle 4 is congruent to what angle here? 2 is congruent to, and then what down here is 30 degrees? Or 30? 8 and 6. Very good. So those are the congruent angles right there.